I actually texted Joe. I didn't know that Carla was going to be on today. If he knew this song and he didn't and Carla didn't, but I'll bet you there's some of you here that know the song that goes along with this gospel reading. So I have to do it a cappella because our choir doesn't know it. So it goes, Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. See, you know, he climbed up in a sycamore tree for the man he wanted to see. I'm not going to sing the rest of it, but, you know, I hope, I don't know if they've got Sunday school today. I hope they're teaching them that song, Troy. Are they? Well, he doesn't know, you know. We need more control over our Sunday school teachers. Well, there's a lot that we don't hear in this gospel reading. We tend to think of Zacchaeus, maybe, you know, partly from the song that we learned as children, but at the time the Gospels were written, the people hearing this story about Zacchaeus understood a lot more. Zacchaeus would have been a man that they didn't like at all. In fact, they may have hated him. He was a tax collector. He was very wealthy. He was wealthy because he was a tax collector. He stole and cheated from people. And maybe those especially hurt would have been the poor. And because of the way that Zacchaeus lived his life, we can imagine that he also lived in fear of the people whom he was cheating. Maybe especially he would have been afraid of this man Jesus, someone he had heard a lot about. He heard about this Jesus, though, and he wanted to be able to see him. He wanted to really see Jesus. And, of course, the irony of it all is that by trying to see Jesus, Jesus gets to see Zacchaeus up in that sycamore tree. And something is stirred in the heart of Zacchaeus in the way that Jesus responds. Jesus calls Zacchaeus by name and tells him that he is going to visit his house that very day. And what happens? What happens is that love that Jesus shows to Zacchaeus overwhelms the tax collector. Maybe it was something he had never experienced. Salvation. Salvation comes to Zacchaeus. And Jesus goes to his house, and Zacchaeus changes his life. It is Zacchaeus' heart, his hope, his openness that draws Jesus to him. In a lot of ways, maybe we're like Zacchaeus. Maybe we were fearful at times. And just like Zacchaeus, Jesus wants to come to us where we live, to be with us, and to change our lives. Maybe this very day we are being called to let Christ into our lives so that we can experience Christ's mercy. Maybe this very day we are being asked to let Christ come into where we work or where we study so that our gifts and talents can be shared with those around us. Maybe this very day we're being challenged to let Christ into where we live so that our relationships might be rooted in Christ's love. Maybe this day we're being called to support someone who's feeling lost or forgotten. Maybe this day we're being called to let Christ into those dark places in our own lives so he can help us to detach from those things that no longer bring us satisfaction and help us to live the lives that we ought to live. The Lord is always ready to make his home with us. Question is, do we make room for him in our heart, in our home, in every area of our life, in every area of our life? The Lord wants to be present in the whole of our lives, everywhere, everything. The Lord wants to move in. We may want to keep him away, or maybe just in that little forgotten room. Jesus wants to come into our lives and change us, just as he did with Zacchaeus. This gospel is about accepting the invitation to let that love and the presence of Christ change us. We don't have to climb up a tree to find Jesus. Jesus is right here with us in our hearts and in the Eucharist that we are about to share, in this community of faith, waiting to change our lives. If only we have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the arms to embrace. Jesus comes to us through the most unusual people, times, and places. Times we don't expect. Sometimes we're blocked by competing voices within us, and we don't move. Zacchaeus overcame those competing voices. He acted. All Jesus needs is the smallest movement to open that door just a little bit. And the moment we're ready to open ourselves to the movement of Christ within us, he's ready to act. We are his family. He calls each one of us by name. And he comes to be with us as often as we choose to accept his invitation to this table. But of course, there's a price. We're meant to be different people because of this encounter. Generous with all we have to offer the world, and to be open and honest in all of our relationships. No matter our age, no matter how lost we might feel, how consumed we might be with regret at judgments we've made or choices that we've made, Jesus calls us by name, every one of us, and invites us to his table and holds our hand as we move from fear to freedom. Because today, salvation has come to this house, for the Son of Man has come to seek and to save what was lost.